G'day everyone and welcome to Believe in Fantasy. This 12 analysts. We don't walk into a bar, we walk into a mock draft room. It is early season. There are 12 of us. It has all been set up by the legend, the man himself, Adam King, who is about to join me in studio to break down this early edition mock draft. I'm in it. Pat Mumba in it. But my boy, Next Level from Believe In is here. We're going to get to it. We're going to go through it and see what we can get going in this Category League 12 analyst mock draft. Let's bring some heat. Kingy, welcome back, man. It's way too early to be mock drafting, but we are fantasy sickos. July in America, 28th year in Australia. You haven't slept for 32 hours coming back from Vegas. And we're mock drafting. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's been a rough 24 hours since I got back, but it's part of traveling. It takes a few days to get back into the swing of things. But yeah, I couldn't really do any content while I was over there, so I wanted to get straight back into it. And as per usual, had no issues filling the league up.
So can I say this? Let me call you out for this. You were just deciding to be an absolute agent of chaos this year. You're not in this one. You're setting them up and breaking them down. You're like a bipartisan third wheel. Like, I'm just gonna. You're cucking these drafts. You're just watching back in the chaos ensue. Is that just stunning for you to sit back and watch this without having to worry about your own picks in these?
Yeah, and it's always tough to do host a mock draft, do a live show while you're actually drafting. So yeah, at this point, we're still, I don't even know, what are we, 3 months from the start of the season? So
3 months out.
Still a long way out. So it's more just an exercise, a bit of fun for those that are looking for something to do. And yeah, I'm able to break it down as it happens, and then I can get people on my show and break it down after that. So I will be in them as we get closer to the season. But at this stage, for me, it's just fun to talk about them and have a look at trends and what's going on.
See, we've done a lot of shows together, so I'm going to throw it back for those watching. This is our old crossover background. I'm just bringing it back up there. Shout out to that. You and I have drafted for a couple of years. For those new to me here in Believe in Fantasy, I am Matty G. I am new on the channel, and I am one of your Category Leagues experts for this season, and I can't wait to break it down. I was in this draft. I got drafted. Did you pick these places, by the way? This was just where it fell, because I fell to pick number 5 right after fellow Believe in Fantasy draft expert Pat Mumba, Next Level Fantasy. What was the Can you give me straight off the rip 2 or 3 things that stood out for you in this mock draft? Early season, what were the biggest surprise packages for you?
Look, I mean, Cade Cunningham going at pick 2 was probably pretty surprising. And I don't know whether this is a move that CJ Envy, who now I think CJ Envy maybe is one of the Roto Buller or Roto Wire contributors. I can't be sure. But made a point of saying in the chat that they were going to spice things up a little bit and went with Cade at number 2. So whether that would happen if it was a real draft, I don't know. But
there's no way. If you were in a league, please drop a comment below where someone is so high they must be a Detroit native picking from one, being like, I don't care, I'm taking Cade. Because when I saw that, I was just rubbing my hands together about who I can get at 3rd or 4th or 5th, because number 1 was Shea, which I also thought was interesting. The summer of Shea continues for me. So traditional stalwarts like Jokic automatically then falls to 3rd. So the traditional 3 is out the window, which is SGA, Jokic, and Wemby. And so then it's like, who goes? Victor Wembanyama at 4 is an absolute huge move there.
Yeah. From what I've seen so far, that is the consensus top 3: Shea, Jokic, Wemby. Then in most leagues, it is Luka going at 4. I think Anthony Davis is sort of a consensus 5. Giannis potentially next at 6, but then beyond that, there's about a dozen players that you can make a case for as first rounders. And I'll actually be doing a series of shows, already got them lined up, discussing first round not breakout players, but players that could push into the first round this season. There are a host of them, and Cade Cunningham is one of those.
100%. And this is probably a season like, for me, Kingy, I'm just going to call it, this is unlike any fantasy season that I've ever seen before in fantasy basketball. We have multiple potential first, early, second round picks who are just out. We've got Jason Tatum, first rounder. He's done. Tyrese Halliburton, flirting with top 5, 6 last year. Yeah, he's out. He's not being drafted. Kyrie Irving, some people would take him 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, be very happy with Kyrie there. He's out immediately to start the season. We've got these guys who are automatically out. Damian Lillard, a second rounder, early third rounder at best. He's out this season. So there is a kind of a new guard of first round picks. And this is going to be the year that shapes that. Unlike any that, I've personally experienced. Have you ever experienced a fantasy basketball season like this where a couple of top end guys are automatically out for either the whole year or to start the year?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a I don't know, perfect storm is probably not the right phrase, but yeah, we've got a number of guys out we know of already. We also got players like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, who are just at the wrong end of their career for fantasy, and so they're still very good, but it's hard to make a case for them being the 7th pick in a draft when you know that they're 36, 37 years old and could get rested, could get injured. So I think we've just got that situation where we've got a number of players out, some young players pushing up, old players towards the back end of their career, which is going to result in, you could probably make a case for the whole second round in this draft being taken.
This is... exactly. Like I was thinking that as well as I go through the names. Going through number 1, let's go. SGA, Cade Cunningham, the surprise pick from CJ Envy at 2, Jokic, Wemby, and then I took Anthony Davis there because it was either Luka. I was planning on getting a little frisky in this draft, and this was my frisky draft. I like to get frisky every now and then, and this is my frisky one. I took AD to start it off with, Luka, Giannis, Antetokounmpo, to Alex right there. When we got Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, James Harden, Jaren Jackson Jr., and the other one, Halves, taking Derek White at the end of the first round was absolutely mind-boggling. Starts off then at second. I'm already scratching my head because I know that people are already talking, how high are you on Derek White for this season? Because everyone's just saying like he is going to be an elite point guard this year, which is true without Drew Holiday being there, but there's no way he brings back first round for us.
No, I talked about this on the show. So that's John Alves who made that one. You know John Alves. I think. I don't know if you're in one of his leagues or something, but yeah. So I talked about this as well. It's not a pick I would be making. Yes, I think he will be good. Could he be a first rounder? Look, I guess potentially if the block sort of went up to 1.3 and he's one of those players, a little bit like Dyson Daniels, whose rank doesn't really sort of reflect overall value because he is boosted by blocks. He is efficient for a point guard. He hits a lot of threes, but I don't know. I just don't see him pushing into that first round discussion, and the Celtics are going to be probably really bad and are openly going to be looking for a high draft pick. So does Derek White play more than about 50 games? I'm not sure. So I do think he'll be good, but I certainly wouldn't personally, I wouldn't have him in that discussion of potential first round players. But again, it's early.
Danny Ainge is picking up the phone from Utah, calling into Brad Stevens. Hey, look, we've got a plan here in Utah that you might want to adopt. If you just want to rest some guys for fake injuries for the last 30 games, that's okay.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, this whole season is going to be interesting with in the Eastern Conference, especially with all of those players out that you mentioned. we don't know who's going to. I mean, the Celtics could just fumble their way into the 7th seed, and maybe Derek White does play 70 games and he is the 15th best player, and this looks really good. So, we'll see.
Well, he could end up being he could be one of your MVPs of your fantasy team this year, depending on how many games he plays. But if you are after VIP membership for Believe, make sure you check out the channel and subscribe for just 27 cents a day. Become an MVP community member for priority responses, exclusive MVP Discording access. There's also a private podcast that answers all of your questions weekly. To join, just visit BelieveInFantasy.com. Check that out. We're going to roll back into the second round. Bam Adebayo, he's going to have a good season this year. We're all expecting an improvement from Bam. Beginning the second round is early. The surprise here for me was Jason Tatum. That's just I've taken him because I don't know why you feel bad for him. Let's put that to the side because you mentioned something very early on. The second round is just an absolute throwing darts at the board thing, Kingy. And everyone goes off the board here that you would expect to go. Don Mitchell, Trae Young, Mobley, Booker, Jalen Williams, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LaMelo Ball, followed by Amen Thompson, which was a very interesting look here for Amen Thompson being picked up this early. The second rocket off the board with Paolo Banchero being taken at the end of the second round. Now, that creeps Paolo up. Obviously, he gets a bump in points leagues. Category leagues, he has some deficiencies. But pairing this with Shea is looking to work some. The twist that you put in here, there's no real surprises there, I would say, apart from Amen Thompson creeping up by CJ Envy, who's really getting spicy with it. But then it was third round reversal. So we go all the way back up here, and this is where it gets interesting yet again. Taking the best on board here, Alperen Sengun, Tyrese Halliburton, and then Dyson Daniels. Because Dyson Daniels was one of the biggest flags you've ever flown and one of your biggest fantasy wins of all time, do you expect him to be in the same kind of spot coming this year, mate?
I think so. I mean, he went. I'll just say Thunder Dan was auto drafting, so that's why he took Tatum. That's why he took Halliburton there. So yeah, Dyson went at what's that, 27 or something?
27, yeah.
I think so. I think that's where people are going to start to reach for him. I think third round, which. Yeah, as high as I was on him, I think that's too high, only because his value was almost completely reliant on steals.
100%.
And I'm not saying he won't be really good at steals again, but you need your third rounder to be doing more than just stealing the basketball. And I do think his offense, I think he progressed in a lot of areas, but do I see him progressing more next season? No, because they have Porzingis. They'll have a healthy Jalen Johnson. So I think Dyson will still be really good. I think he'll probably lead the league in steals again. But where does he take any significant steps forward? I'm not sure. I guess he could get better from the free throw line or something. But
he could, especially be in sub 600. So my guess here is if we have to throw it off the cuff with 6 rebounds a game, probably coming down to about 5 rebounds, 4.8 a game. Let's say assists dip to 3.9, steals at even 2.83. Blocks could creep up. With the ball in his hands, less turnovers could go down. Points could go up if the 3-pointers go shooting 340 from the line last year. If he creeps that up to 2, he gets some value. But again, in a punt free throw build, he even gets a bigger bump, as you said, Kingy, because he was sub 600 from the line last year. So we don't expect him to be where he was this year. But I expect a bigger breakout this year from Chet Holmgren in the third round. So I start to like this. Pascal Siakam, a boy on the Gold Coast right now going into Boomers camp. Josh Giddey, who was just here in Sydney yesterday, who I managed to see down at Throwback Store. Gids was in town. I got a little something for you too, Kingy, by the way, from Josh Giddey. Right. People are high on Josh Giddey for this season.
Yeah, it's interesting because he doesn't even have a contract yet. So I think
correct.
We're sort of expecting him to go back to Chicago, but then we hear that there's still sort of a gap between the money he wants and the money they're prepared to spend. I think he does end up back in Chicago. That's as high as I've seen him go in the very small sample size that we have thus far. And I think it's probably too high, but again, who's to say that he doesn't come out and finish and start this season the way he finished last season? And if that's the case, then I don't know. I mean, I've got Alex Barutha on my show tomorrow, so he will explain to me why he took Josh Giddey. He's actually got a few questions to answer. So
can you text me when what Alex tells you? I would love to know that, because I think it's that recency bias, like you said. Like, he finished the season really well, and in fact, in the last 3 months of last season, Josh Giddey finished as the 21st best player across 35 games, playing the 32.8 minutes a night, 17.3 points per game, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 1.3 steals, and shooting plus 800 from the line and 480 from the field. So this is someone this is his ceiling, is 21st in fantasy basketball. Before this, the years prior, he had never topped the top 100 in NBA fantasy before. So this was the year we expected him to have a quote unquote breakout. He did, but it really just ate into the end of the season when that really came on. And the start of the season, it was okay. They've re-signed Trey Jones there. Kobe White's still in town. He's a restricted free agent. Like, the second apron has kind of cooped him, and the fact that San Antonio just be like, yeah, we've got $120 million worth of cap space. Do you want that money? And then Chicago has to match it. It's kind of just eaten that away, which is kind of similar to a few years ago to the next guy off the draft board, Austin Reeves from Beefy Rhino. This was a huge one, I thought, going in the third round.
Yeah, too high. I spoke about this during the live show as well. I love Austin Reeves, but I just don't see how he pushes to be a borderline top 30 player
50,
here.
yeah.
I think he's very good. I think he's going to feature a little more this season, with LeBron continuing to sort of scale back ever so slightly. So, yeah, look, I like Reeves, but I think this is absolutely taking him at his peak. I don't think there's any value to be had here. But again, I mean, is this just a decision based on the fact that it's a mock draft, or is this a decision that Beefy Rhino, and I'm not sure who Beefy Rhino is, maybe a Discord community member, but not too sure. But I mean, you look at the players who were taken just after him, and
yeah,
I'd definitely be taking Jalen Johnson ahead of Austin Reeves. I'll put it that way.
Well, I definitely would be as well, because this was a third-round reversal draft. So we just kicked it back up and we're making our way down. And Jalen Johnson was on my list of guys to get. And so then I started to play around a little bit. I was like, who do I get? LeBron was still there. And I had a look at who I had. I had AD. And then I started thinking, maybe I could get a little bit spicy with it. So the first guy I've taken then of my spicy line, of my getting a little bit frisky, was LeBron. Again, last year, top 30 player. This is around where he's going to finish up. I was looking whether I should lean into a point guard or not. I can get things across the board for LeBron. He's aging, whether it's gracefully, yes. I've taken that because Jalen Brunson's gone off, Scotty Barnes, and this was the one that shat me to tears, because I did flirt with taking Cooper Flagg and just I'm going to take him at the end of the third and expect for the best, Kingy. I'm like, no, it's only 8 picks away. I'll get him early in the fourth. But this now seems, this is the third mock draft I've done. You have to be prepared to take Cooper Flagg at the end of the third or by midway in the fourth, or you will not get him in your fantasy drafts. I think that he will absolutely go inside the top 40 in most drafts this season. Do you think he gets that back for us, or is that just the absolute ceiling pipe dream for Cooper Flagg finishing off the third round?
Yeah, hard to know what his ceiling is. I thought he looked okay in Summer League, but we only saw 2 games.
Did you see him? Did you see one?
Yeah.
Did you see both of his games, or what was the feel for him?
Look, there was very high expectations. The first game, he just shot the ball really poorly. I thought he looked good. I think probably the biggest takeaway for me was him as a ball handler. He looked super comfortable handling the ball. So I think, obviously,
they ran him at point guard, didn't they? They ran him at point guard, didn't they? Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, he technically was playing as a forward, but he was doing all of the playmaking. And I think D'Angelo Russell is there, didn't they? Sign D'Angelo Russell, yeah. So he will technically be their point guard, but Cooper Flagg, I think that was my biggest takeaway, was that he looked very good as a facilitator. I think Cooper Flagg, by the time we hit September, I think he's going in the second round of drafts. I think
Jesus.
I think that's how
Mary
high
Mother.
to get him in. And I don't know if I would.
No.
But I just think he's going to get hyped up. And having seen this sort of thing in previous seasons with other players, I think the lowest he will go will be mid third round. And I do think he'll go in the first round in some leagues. I think people will, though, if you're sort of picking a 12th, I think there'll be some people that pick him. And
I can't wait to see the all over the place ADP data.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But what's his ceiling? Look, I guess it's a first round, but he would need a lot of things to go his way. I think he'll probably be top 40. I think if you could get him at pick 40, that's absolutely fine. But I just don't think we'll be able to, with all the hype and everything around him.
And that's where I was like, if I can get him around 40-ish, I'll be okay. So this now finishes up for us this finishes pick 36. And so 37, 38, 39, 40 exactly is where I would have taken him. So that was me at pick 40 right there. So to start this round off, we're going Desi Bain, Domantas Sabonis, which I thought was a great pick from William is Bill, or Bill is also William, or Willie to his friends. Franz Wagner, great picks here. This is where it kind of starts to temper down. Everyone's like taking the best available on board or trying to make their builds kind of take place. I've taken Tyler Hero here. This for me was a bit of a gamble because this was like I've got Steph Curry. I want a facilitator. Tyler came on a little bit last year. I can expect some things. Was this too early for me with Tyler Hero? Well, this is kind of because I was tossing up him or Tyrese Maxey. And I just, my Philadelphia is a little bit shaky. So I've decided to take the Tyler Hero leading the way. Was this too early for me on Tyler Hero, Kingy?
I think it's probably about right. I'm certainly not someone that likes to draft Tyler Hero. I don't think I ever have. Maybe
neither do
once.
I don't like to, but I do.
But yeah,
didn't like my first girlfriend ever, but I dated her. That's right. We do these things. We do these things.
Yeah, and look, that could be a really good pick. The Heat are interesting. No Jimmy Butler there, so Tyler Hero is running the show. For me, he doesn't do enough to sort of go much higher than this. I don't think you can be taking him in the second or third round because he scores, he hits threes, but he doesn't get a lot of assists. He's not a big rebounder, doesn't really get defensive stats. So I think this is probably about as high as I would go on him, but I really just don't know what the Heat are doing. They're probably going to compete just because they're in the East, and the East is a bit of a dumpster fire. So, yeah, look, he'll probably play 65 games. He'll give you the 24 points a game and some threes and that sort of thing. So I think this is okay.
And this is where I started to be like, well, I've got Steph, I've got Tyler. I can get some threes later on. Let me see where I can get guard-wise. Walker Kessler going off the board. DeAndre Fox, Jamal Murray, Miles Turner. Love that pick. Josh Hart. This is investing. Yuri's investing very, very similarly into what we thought the peak Hart could be from last year. Maybe some less minutes this year under a new coach in New York. OG Anunoby, another New Yorker. And Jalen Green going off the board here to John Alves. Again, some spicy stuff from Johnny here. This is really expecting Jalen Green to come on with his new home in Phoenix, mate.
Yeah, it is. He's very similar to Tyler Hero, I think. Points, threes. He doesn't do a lot else. He's just nowhere near as consistent as Tyler Hero at this stage anyway. Yeah. But maybe a fresh start helps him
unlock his potential.
Yeah, look.
Unlock his potential. We're talking nice things about Jalen.
Yeah, I think so. And he'll get a good opportunity in Phoenix alongside Devin Booker. Houston are obviously very loaded now with Kevin Durant. So it just frees him up to, I think, play with less pressure, depending on what Phoenix's expectations are this season. But by all accounts, they're looking to win. They're playing to win, and they're going to need Jalen Green to be a big part of that if that's going to come to fruition. So,
and we've seen him do that in spurts. We've seen him do that in spurts. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we have. Yep.
this is the next guy who the over-under, my over-under for him for the year is on more shot attempts per game than wins that Brooklyn gets. If there is a betting line out there in the world where you can just straight down the barrel tell me, who does Michael Porter Jr. finish with more shot attempts per game than the Brooklyn Nets get wins? I might actually take that. But Michael Porter Jr., the first pick of the 5th round, again, another player, new home. Are you scared for Brooklyn and what they do this year? If they just sit people, like if they're the Utah Jazz of the East come this year, or do you reckon they're going to play under Georgie or do you reckon they're going to play hard like they did last year towards the tail end of the season?
I don't think I'll be drafting any Nets this season. I just think based on what we saw last year, they play a deep rotation. They just play everyone like 22 minutes a night. Look, I think Michael Porter is in for a good year, and he will shoot the ball a lot. It will come down to, I think, whether Cam Thomas is there, and at the moment, it's not looking like he will be there because he just wants a lot more money than they're willing to pay him. So, if someone else will pay him, he'll move. So I do think Porter will have a good year, but does he play 26 minutes, 28 minutes a night? Does he play 40 games? Does he play 60 games? The Nets are not afraid of resting players.
Not afraid at all.
And Porter has a history of back injuries and things like that. So
more than Larry Markkinen, who just gets back injuries randomly over the course of the year.
So for me, look, I think this is fine. Top, what are we, 5th? So this is around pick 50.
Yep.
He can be a top 50 player per game, but does he play enough to be a top 50 player in total value? I'm not so sure. So for me, I think this range is okay, but I wouldn't be picking him.
Yeah, I think this is very much a year of the steer away from the Brooklyn Nets season. Naz Reid, new digs for Jordan Poole in New Orleans, going next to Yuri. Darius Garland injured to start the year off. This is where injured guys may start to go off your board. This next couple of picks I like. Vucevic, I think, was very good drafting by Raf. Shout out to you, Raf. Jaylen Brown into the 5th round. We have spoken about the superstars of the NBA to start off here. We're talking about the Bookers. We're talking about the LeBrons. We're talking about all these team leaders. And the biggest dog in the Boston Celtics has just fallen to the 5th round. Despite his deficiencies from the free throw line, he has both guard and forward eligibility in fantasy. We have seen him eclipse this, but he is the biggest pony in a weakened Eastern Conference. You've kind of said that Boston's like, we're going to get a good draft pick this year. We don't really care. So that means the biggest horse in the stable is going to rest. That would be Jaylen Brown. But you kind of can't overlook this value when it's in the 5th round, can you?
No, I do think he's a risk of resting and things like that. But getting him here at pick 55 or whatever that is, I think he could easily be a top 30 player per game this season. So at that range, even with the risk, I think you have to take him.
Jaron McCain off the next one, returning from injury. And then I thought to myself, in the 30 seconds that you had us on, you savage son of a bitch, the 30-second draft time, I was like, wait a second. I haven't seen Joel Embiid go off the board yet. So I just searched Joel Embiid really quickly, and he was still sitting there in the 5th round. And apparently he's going to be healthy come into camp, which is weird because I didn't think he was going to be healthy, but he's actually reported he's starting to do media himself and talking himself up a little bit. He's like, we're going to give it a go this year. And I'm like, this is a new Joel Embiid. And he's sitting here because my next 2 picks I want to go over with you. Did you start to be like, what the hell is Matty doing? He's getting really frisky. Or was just like, this is good drafting here? Because in the 5th round with the A pick, I've taken Joel Embiid ahead of Zubac, who was also in my queue, Jarrett Allen, who was in my queue. Duran's gone off next, and then Ja Morant. I love that from Jarrett this round. But Joel in the 5th round, this is a first-round potential player. I just I couldn't help myself here. Or am I insane?
Look, I don't think you're insane. I'm not touching Joel Embiid because I just don't think. I honestly think that he's done. And I is he a first round player anymore? Look, maybe, but I'm just not going to bother with him. I think, look, I think his ceiling is probably 40 games. So, yeah.
19 last year. 19. I'm taking him here, and I'm like, because the East is weak this year, I have this illusion that, how there's like that 1 year you talk about a player or you talk about a team and then they don't do it, then they do it the year after. I'm like, maybe this coming year is Philly's year. VJ Edcombe switches into Paul George, who's injured to start the season. Who knows what's going on with PG, Tyrese Maxey. Like, it's a week. They've got Quentin Grimes back on board. It's just a weakened Eastern Conference. And Philly could put something together. They have been deep. They've got backups there. So for me, I was willing to take that. It was a solid fifth round drafting up to there. Starting off the sixth, this is where Zion Williamson's gone off the board. And we can see a good season from him this year. Alex, I have started to notice, Kingy, here, that Alex Sarr is creeping up draft boards left, right, and center. But the sixth round for me is too early. But again, he could get you 2 or 3 blocks a game. He showed out in Summer League. Were you impressed with what you saw from him in his Summer League runs?
Yeah, I thought he looked okay. Yes, he will get blocks, but still offensively, he's pretty raw. So, but if you can cop that, if you can deal with his poor field goal percentage for a center, then I think he's good. Too high for me. I think there's other players. Like I would probably rather, if we look at other centers who sort of are coming off the board after him, I'd rather Mark Williams.
Who went again, later this round, actually,
he did. But it does come down to whether you want blocks. Because Mark Williams is not a shot blocker, I just think he's a better offensive player or more reliable. But Sarr, Washington have nothing to lose with just running him out there. So if they're going to run him out there, play him 30 minutes, then he could develop quicker than we thought. So I don't mind Sarr here, but he's probably not someone personally that I'm going to target.
Again, another ceiling player right here. Trey Murphy, love this. We saw him last year in the first round of players when he was on an absolute heater. New Orleans back this year. Do they compete in the stacked West? Is the question for him. Again, a slow starter to the season that comes on and looks incredible. But because he's not a household name, you've got to start selling high on Trey Murphy when he is an absolute heater, because he may play really well for a short time and then back off. Mikal Bridges, my next pick here. I couldn't believe I picked this bloke up in the 6th round, who I would say is probably more dependable at this point of his career than Joel Embiid. He only played the 37 games because we know he missed it, but then he came back healthy and well in a brand new look. Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard in the 6th round. I am an injury risk fiend at this point in time, but I'm really happy taking Kawhi in the 6th round, Kingy.
Yeah, I think the Kawhi pick is a good one. I obviously wasn't as on board with Joel Embiid, but I think Kawhi is fantastic value here because I think he can play 60 games. I think he would obviously need to be a good season. Back-to-backs are still a question, but they're building a good roster. It's a very old roster, but I talked about them on the show, and if somehow they can all stay relatively healthy, the Clippers are going to make some noise this season, I think, and
I really
Kawhi could, Kawhi could be almost at the head of that snake, despite the fact that they have James Harden there and Bradley Beal now and Chris Paul back and Ivica Zubats and John Collins and Brook Lopez, and they've got a lot of talent. So I think Kawhi, his ceiling is probably still first round. I think
first round, 100%. First or second round, 100%. Yeah. So getting him in the 6th for me was a no-brainer. And it also completed my starting 5 of the 2018 All-Star team by the 6th round. I managed to get Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, and Kawhi Leonard. So that was a bit of fun. Buzelis off the board for Beefy, just making hot take after hot take. This is a guy who I had on my queue. I was debating whether taking Kawhi to offset the injury from Joel Embiid. Brandon Miller in the 6th round. I really like this pick from Alex. Love that. Miles Bridges, his teammate from Charlotte. Jimmy Butler, who was a top 25 player in NBA fantasy since his move to Golden State to finish off that year. Love that pick there from Papi Roy. Mark Williams, who you mentioned earlier in Phoenix, a great center option in the 6th round, getting deep late in drafts. Brook Lopez going off there, and Onyeka Okongwu, who I think is this is the upside for him with Kristaps Porzingis, who hasn't appeared on the draft board yet, which was the other guy who I fired into my queue. But by this point, I am now completely risk adverse, not seeing Chris Bapps. To start the 7th round, Kobe White, for you at this point in time, where were you thinking? What was your head watching this? Like, who was still left on the board that you were surprised who hadn't gone off the board yet?
Look, if I look over here, the end of this round, Emmanuel Quickly goes. So I think that was a very, very good pick. Last season, we were pushing him as a top 30, top 40 player, and he just had a bad season in terms of injuries. So he never had any, he didn't have momentum. So I think I was surprised that he was still around.
I can't do it. I'm once bitten, twice shy. It's the reason why I didn't take Josh Hart last season. Because the season before how high I was in Josh Hart, being like, I love Josh Hart. That contract, they gave him the money. And then again, it's the season, like he does his things and he's still good. And we like Josh Hart, but he goes underappreciated. And then he comes back and he becomes a top 30 fantasy player the year after and does everything that you said he was going to do the year afterwards. Is that what we get from Quickly this year, you think, in Toronto?
It could be. I mean, their starting 5 is very good when you compare it to the East. Almost as good as any starting 5 in the East. Their question mark is the depth. So if they get 1 or 2 injuries, they're in a bit of trouble. But yeah, I mean, if their starters can come out, if Brandon Ingram's foot has grown back, then they'll be a good team, and I think we should have a good year. So I was surprised he was there. Rudy Gobert still floating around, although he was pretty bad last season. So
he was.
Yeah, Porzingis. The Denny Avdia pick is an interesting one. Portland, a lot of question marks around the Portland rotation. I know Dan Bespris is very high on drafting Blazers this season, and Avdia is one of those guys. Because
obviously he was the white Michael Jordan last year. Denny Avdia was the white Michael Jordan. He was like, Denny Avdia was in press conferences being like, I'm surprised I'm doing this well. He was literally saying in press conferences, I'm doing okay. Like Denny Avdia didn't know how to answer questions about how he was performing, Kingy.
Yeah, and I think he's an interesting one because probably 2 or 3 years ago when he was coming up through Washington, and we were talking about if only the Wizards would give him consistent minutes, I think he can be a bit of a ball handler. He's a good rebounder. He gets defensive stats, and they just never did it. And then he was traded, and he was sort of an afterthought, and we weren't sure where he fitted in Portland. And then Jeremy Grant, of course, was just always injured or sleeping or whatever he was doing, and so.
Not playing after March.
And so Avdia got a shot, and he did what we sort of thought he could do, but we'd forgotten about him. So it will be interesting to see what they do with him this season with a healthy rotation, and they're seemingly on the way up. Damian Lillard's probably not going to play this season, at least not for the majority of the season anyway, but their trajectory is pointed in the right direction. They've got some good young pieces. The center spot is a lot of question marks for me around that center spot. And I talked about Donovan Clingan, who went in this round as well.
It's a 6th pick,
I'm not sold on him.
Did you see? I think Hanson Yang Hanson in the flesh,
and he looked very good.
Now, he looks very good, but does he move as slowly in real life as it comes across on TV? Because it's like if you ask me, who are the 2 slowest ball handling centers in the NBA? I'm like Jokic and Yang Hanson Yang. It's like he just moves in slow. It's like he deliberately tries to trail the play just to rock up at the top of the key to make a play or hit a 3. Was he just taking it easy, or do you see a lot more gas in the tank for him?
For me, he's a lot more mobile than Donovan Clingan.
Right, okay.
But I think that's just the way they're going to use him is very similar. They'll model him on Jokic. So I think for me, he looks a far better, a more versatile defender. Not as good a defender, but
he had great instincts. That was the one thing. His anticipation, his anticipation plays and his reads were, I thought, incredible. That was the thing that. He was slow and kind of like lethargic up and down the court a little bit. but his anticipation and closeouts, I was like, he sees the lanes, like some of those steals he was getting where he was heading towards the middle. And then he would like, oh, there's a guy that way. He would automatically just change his body and get his hand in the way of a passing lane. And that was a really raw instinct from a young guy.
Yeah, I think he looked really good. There's another centre, I'll talk about him later, who was equally, he was very impressive. But yeah, I do wonder. No, he was good though. I did touch on him in my show about where does he fit alongside Walker Kessler now. I don't know what they're going to do there. But yeah, I'm not sure what Portland are going to do. I think Klingon will be the starter just because it's his second year. But I would love to see Hansen in there. I think he just brings a lot to the table. So yeah, Portland, a lot of question marks. I mean, that came from the Avdia discussion. But I think there is going to be some value in Portland this season. 100%. There's just so many options. It's hard to know exactly who to target.
And if you want to know who to target, make sure you join up with Believe in Fantasy Basketball for less than 27 cents a day. There's like an exclusive. Robin's on there doing question and answers once a week, including like, who do I draft from Portland? Who do I draft? Do I take Shaedon Sharpe? Yes, you do, because I think Shaedon Sharpe is in for a great season this year, Kingy. I think he's one of the guys who I'm going to look at for Portland later this year, like the rest of the things. Tumoni Kamara, who we both loved last year, picking him up like our Dyson Daniels light. I think he can elevate himself this season. Join up with Believe in Fantasy. Like and subscribe to this video. Jump onto the joining on the Discord channels and all of the things below. And also, if you want to ask, Maddie, do I take Kel'el Ware? Well, I like Kel'el Ware, and I thought he looked really good in Summer League. Kingy, did he look as good as I thought he looked this second year in Summer League? Because they were just rolling him out there and he was doing things and then just sitting. Did he just, was he that easy on the court?
Yeah, he was a little bit up and down. I know one game he didn't do as much, but yeah, look, I think he'll be their starting center alongside Bam Adebayo. They started sort of toying with that last season, and yeah, I mean, I won't say it was successful, but it wasn't a failure either. So I do think that he'll still have a pretty significant role, whatever that looks like. He'll be a decent shot blocker. He'll hopefully add more of a perimeter aspect to his game. So I think getting Ware here is sort of in this seventh round where if you just need a center, I'd certainly take him over Gobert, I think. Yeah. And then, I mean, you've got a few others here, DeAndre Ayton, Jakob Poeltl coming off the board shortly.
Hartenstein goes in the end of the ninth round, which I thought was a decent pick with Zach Edey at the back of the 10th. So rounding out that seventh, I took DeMar DeRozan, continuing my my nostalgic love of all-star players. But in the seventh round, a top 50 perennial player, it's a no-brainer for me at this point in time, especially when I wanted to get some more forward stats, someone who can play make, rebound, high free throw percentage, and good field goal percentage. DeRozan was there, Gobert off the board, Randall, CJ McCollum, and like you said, quickly. Then it comes into Anthony Simons, who the rumors are he could be rerouted from Boston at any given point in time, taking away the shine. And the upside here for him is good, but we've never seen it in Portland. We've seen it flirted with, and then he's benched, and their youth movement happened. And now he's in Boston, and no one really cares. I think it's like the most apathetic people have been of a fan base. Like, oh, yeah, we got Anthony Simons. He might not be here in October. So let's leave him to the side. DeAndre Ayton, starting center, Los Angeles Lakers, center poor, 8th round. He was in my queue. I was 100% going to take him here, especially as a handcuff with Embiid. I'm just looking for points and rebounds at this point. I'll do percentages. 8th round for Ayton. I think this was a steal, Kingy.
Yeah, I'm not an Ayton fan. I mean, I'm pretty honest about my thoughts on him and his attitude. But
yeah, his attitude's horrible.
If he's going to have a good season, this is going to be it. I mean, playing alongside Luka and LeBron, there's no excuses for him to not be engaged here. So, yeah, I think getting him in the 8th round, as you said, points, rebounds, he's not going to block shots. He never gets to the free throw line, but he will get a lot of good looks.
Which is so weird for someone who gets the ball so close to the rim so often, offensive rebounds-wise. The amount of times this bloke gets fouled, it's just never on the offensive rebound end for the amount of offensive rebounds he gets. It's weird. It's weird. It's like if he could be more dominating, he would get to the line like 3-4 more times a game. He hits them at a really decent enough clip. We've seen Kingy. He can eclipse this and be a top 50-ish player.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's no reason he can't be. He just doesn't seem to be aggressive enough to. Yeah. He gets fouled, but it's not when he's attacking the basket. So, yeah, look, maybe things turn around for him. I'm not convinced, but taking him in the 8th round, there's no risk there.
No, this is like the best of the last centers on the board by this point in time, like who are going to get consistent minutes anyway and give you something that can be hard to get, like chasing those points. Zach LaVine, Jakob Poeltl. I've taken Andrew Nembhard here. I'm expecting a good season for him, filling in for the starting point guard spot with the injured Tyrese Halliburton. Peyton Pritchard was the other guy in my queue that I was tossing up with. A lot of early season hype, Kingy, for Pritchard as well. Both of these guys seem to be doing good things out east.
Yeah, I think they'll both be fine. Yeah, Nembhard is going to have a pretty big role. I think his ceiling is pretty capped. Like he's not going to break out as such, but with the ball in his hand, they're not really going to turn to TJ McConnell. We've seen that in the past. It will be Nembhard. So I think Nembhard is fine. Pritchard, was last season his best season? Maybe. Again, he is a little bit limited. But at this point in the draft, a guy that can get you 20 points a game, 3.5 threes,
5 assists,
and playing on a team, and playing on a team where he could play 70 games. I think Pritchard is fine here.
Someone who hasn't played 70 games in a couple of years, who's fallen now to the 8th round after being a 3rd round darling for the last few seasons, Lauri Markkanen. What a bloody fall from grace, Kingy.
Yeah, it's. It has been rightfully so, though. I mean, he's not playing. Utah suck. So, but again, no risk. Take him here in the 8th round, and if you get 40 games of top 40 value, and then you just either look to trade him or just drop him. But we know how good he can be. But I think people forget, because he was so good when he came over to Utah, you forget how bad he was in Chicago. And so
the recency bias of the season before has well and truly worn off.
It has. So, but again, much like with DeAndre Ayton here, no risk in the 8th round. You're almost, it's the last active spot in. I always have 8 active roster spots. So, taking him in the 8th round for me is totally fine.
Love this Cam Johnson pick. I expect good things for him in Denver this year, assuming the Michael Porter Jr. role. Points and rebounds. Hey, Cam, can you do what Michael did, but better? He's like, sure. And he's invested in that. So I definitely see this as a good return for Cam Johnson. Second of our rookies off the board, Dylan Harper in San Antonio. Questions of the fit. Stephen Castle, De'Aaron Fox coming back in. This could be too early for Harper, but he is probably their point guard in the future in 2 or 3 years' time. How much run he gets, I'm not quite sold yet, Kingy. I'm not quite sold yet.
Yeah, I'm not sold. I can see why you'd take him there. Castle went like 2-3 picks later. So both of them. But as long as, I mean, I know Chris Paul is gone, so that helps. But De'Aaron Fox is the guy. He's the starter there. Devin Vassell is still there, and I think they would like him to continue to develop. So, I think both Harper and Castle are fine. I'd probably prefer to take them in sort of the 10th round than the 8th round. But at this point, again, there's no... If you want him at this point in the draft, you just go and get him.
100%. Here we've got Daniel Gafford moving back into contention right here. After Gafford, Christian Brown, Stephen Castle, as you said, 2 picks afterwards, and then reversing it back up to PJ Washington, who I was a late round flyer fan on last year in leagues. He's come up this year. I think this is too early for PJ. For me, he's like a 12th or 13th pick, especially with Cooper Flagg in play. We've got Derek Lively. We've got, who hasn't even come off the board yet, mind you, both PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, but yet we're hearing that D-Live, as Mark Cuban likes to call him, D-Live will be the starting center this year next to Cooper and and Anthony Davis. So this for me marginalizes the role of PJ Washington almost instantly here. And so he could probably go undrafted in the leagues or look for a little bit later for me.
Yeah, I think he was very good last year, but obviously a lot of injuries to other players opened up playing time for him. So he's probably still a top 100, top 110 kind of a player. But if they're healthy, yeah, he's certainly not going to be able to put up the numbers that he was. I think he's okay to take here, but again, I'd probably be looking at taking. There's some names coming off the board shortly that I would rather.
I would agree. One of the ones that are interesting, we think for a bigger one, is Timoni Kamara. Now, love this guy last year, averaged 1.5 steals a game, 11 points, defensive rounds and rebounds, 5.8, assists, 2.2. He was the Dyson Daniels light, and the expectation for him to take a step up in Portland this year is there with him slipping into the 9th round. Quentin Grimes, who had moments of flashes last year in Philadelphia, but with obviously Jared McCain coming back into the lineup, more minutes from Tyrese Maxey, Joel, Paul George. Can we expect the same? Not quite sure what we see from him, but this I really start to like the picks that are coming off the board here. Powell, Eason, let's just put PG in a sideways thing for a hot second. DiVincenzo, who you and I both liked last year, but then he came on late in the season. And then I've picked up here in the 9th round, the 8th pick, who apparently is returning in November, is Kyrie Irving. This, for me, mate, was one of the absolute steals of the draft. A potential first-round player for the rest of the way. Picking him up after top 100, I couldn't not do this at this point in time.
Yeah, we're into our bench now, so you can just throw him straight into your IR spot and pick up someone in the meantime. And then, yeah, look, November, maybe he comes back. I mean, maybe it's the All-Star break. We just don't know at this point. Yeah. But if it is, look, if you draft him, you put him in your IR spot, if it's sounding like he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, then it's a great pick. If they're saying it's probably going to stretch out till the All-Star break, then you just drop him and add someone else. So again,
and we need to know this. Again, we're fantasy sickos, man. We're doing this in July right now. We're going to probably hear word as he popped up over Summer League. He's probably going to pop up around camp. So this is it. Talking about pop-ups, tell us one of your coolest pop-ups that you were like, oh, there's this person at Summer League this year. Who was your coolest bump into?
Well, I met Shaq, but that wasn't at Summer League, so that was just at a restaurant. Who did we see? I mean, I saw a number of fantasy guys. There's photos of me with them. So that was fun because I'd rather meet a fantasy guy than a basketball player because I have more to talk to them about. So that was fun. In terms of players, I mean, seeing LeBron was pretty cool.
You saw LeBron?
We saw LeBron.
Cool.
Didn't get to talk to him or anything like that.
Is he a massive unit?
He's pretty big, yeah. Yeah,
he's. You're a big.
I mean,
dude
they're all big. Like
they're all big. They're all basketball.
Yeah,
they're all big.
They're all huge. Saw Dyson. Again, didn't meet him or anything, but there are a lot of players.
Did you not be like, "Hey, Dyson, I'm your number one person," and I told everybody in the world how good you were going to be in fantasy last year, but no one listened to me, and then I
would have if I'd had the opportunity to. I probably would have.
Yeah, good.
But
good. You deserve that.
Yeah, no, look, I think that was probably it. I mean, there were a lot of players just floating around who we could see from a distance and stuff like that. But in terms of getting close up, Shaq was the only one I spoke to this time around. But for me, it was meeting Dan Titus and Noah and those guys that was the highlight of the trip.
Yeah, all good brothers in arms of fantasy basketball. And make sure you check out all of their stuff and like it, especially guys like Titus and our boy at Old Man Squad. Shout out to Dan Besbris, who's just the loveliest dude in the world. Like his WhatsApp texts are fantastic. Finishing off this round, we've got Malik Monk, Jalen Suggs, Scoot Henderson. Again, Portland, talking about Dan Besbris. Isaiah Hartenstein here. Love that. Zach eating into the 10th. Benedict Mathurin, good run and a great playoff stretch from him in Indiana. Kyle Filipowski, who you saw flexing big time Summer League MVP style. Shaedon Sharpe going off the board, who I had in my queue. So in the 10th round, I've taken the safest pick in the world. Tobias Bloody Harris falling outside the top 100. He's a top 80 player. I'm getting 3 rounds of value right there, especially with him getting a bit more run, I think, this year with Tim Hardaway Jr. being out of Detroit. We just need consistency. But again, he does what he does. This is where, guys, we fall in love, like you said, with these starting minutes. RJ Barrett in the same place that we saw him again last season, outside the top 100. Where can you get 20 points a game outside the top 100? Well, it's guys this year like probably Colin Sexton. And again, RJ Barrett.
Yep, we know who Barrett is. Again, I thought he was pretty good last year. Some injuries, a lot of his value, Brandon Ingram's value, all of these guys will come down to how healthy the team is and are they trying to win? Because if they're trying to win and they play 65 games, this is great. If they're not trying to win and he plays 40 games, then it's probably a bust.
Absolutely. Nick Claxton, Draymond Green, great pick here in the 10th round. Bilal Coulibaly, Bobby Portis, Damian Lillard in the hopes that he can return. And then Dylan Brooks, Chris Paul. We've got Keegan Murray falling out. Aldama. We've got Armin Thompson in Detroit. Bradley Beal falling this late is a very curious one for that. I didn't mind that pick. Kingy, how about you? And Vassell. I like these. I like these picks here. Beal, Vassell, Gordon. I like my Edgecombe pick here. But this is some good pickings late on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm still a believer in Devin Vassell. I know it's been pretty frustrating. He's flashed upside. The whole Wemby thing last season sort of derailed their season. So I don't think it was an accurate reflection of what he can do. But I think he was relatively healthy last season, which for me
64
was
games played.
Yeah, I think that was the bigger takeaway. The addition of guys like De'Aaron Fox have probably slowed his progression, but I getting him here like second last round, I'm
huge.
I'm still more than happy to take him in the 7th round.
100%,
so
100%.
Getting him there and Beal the same. I mean, if again going back to the Clippers, if they're healthy and Beal plays 60 games, then he blows through this value.
Oh, 100%. This is where I'm thinking like VJ Edgecombe right here was my handcuff to Paul George. I'm liking that pick here. Kayshawn George off the board next. This was a big one. DeJounte Murray going off in the 11th round. He was in my queue. I'm thinking how long is he going away for with the after 31 games last year with his Achilles injury? Reports are that he could be back late, so that's a stash and see depending on how many positions you have. And then Keontae George off of Utah, who we accept to take a potential step forward this year, either him or Collier in Utah going off. And Derek Lively right here. Love this pick at the end of the 11th round with the 12th pick. Kingy, Derek Lively, best center left on the board, I think. Off the board. Love that pick there.
Yeah, people seem to be overlooking Derek Lively. As you said, I'm pretty sure he starts.
Me too.
Probably only plays 26 minutes. I guess that's the drawback, is that he's not playing what you'd sort of consider starter minutes. He's because they have Daniel Gafford there, they don't need him to. But I think they want him to be that starting center alongside Anthony Davis as they push to win a title in the next 2 to 3 years. So, yeah, I love getting Lively there in the second last round.
Oh, yeah. It's huge. It's huge. And a Pod's going there in the 12th round. Malawach, did you like Malawach? Did you see much of him in Summer League?
Yeah, we saw a little bit of him. I thought he looked okay. Obviously, with Mark Williams there.
And Nick Richards. You mean the artist formerly known as Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was there, actually. We saw Nick Richards.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't think Malawach plays enough to start the season to have sort of huge value. He still looked a little bit lost. But again, that's what preseason is for, training camp. So I do think Malawach will be a standard league player at some point during the season. But to start the season, I'm certainly okay taking him here in the last round and just seeing. Yeah, what does he do? How many minutes does he play? And if he's only playing 15 minutes a night, you'd probably drop him and then reconsider in 2 months when they maybe start to go in another direction.
Now, he played 40 games last year, but he was a top 40 player in that time. He was one of the guys who started to do huge things in Utah before they decided to just be like, you know what? We're too good with you, John. so don't play basketball. He is now in the LA Clippers, falling into the 12th round. A nice little pick up there. I still think he can retain top 100 value, probably anywhere between 80 and 110. I think there's this kind of round, this that I'm toying with him around, but I see him finishing around 100 value. I think he can be useful, especially if Kawhi goes down for the Clippers. Bub Carrington, Jaden Ivey returning in the 12th round. I was rubbing my hands together at this. I think good things for Ivy this year, especially without Malik Beasley. God knows what happens to that bloke. And Tim Hardaway Jr. They have Jaden Ivey. Fontecchio is out of the lineup. Asar Thompson, I think he gets some more minutes this year. I think Ivy gets some more minutes. And I think Ron Holland II, who you saw go thermo freaking nuclear in Summer League, I think they get more minutes in Detroit this year, mate.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Detroit are another team sort of on the way up. So they want their young players to be playing well. I think they see Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham as the backcourt there. So, yeah, that injury ruined his season, but they still played very well. They pushed the Knicks hard in that playoff series. So, yeah, I think he'll come back in and he'll probably start. And, again, 12th round, nothing to lose there.
25 games played last year. Cameron Thomas, no contract yet in Brooklyn, which I think is a bit of a signal. Up to 3-point assists a game, 3.3 rebounds. He has a huge free throw percentage at 880. His field goal percentage is trash at 438, but he was someone who we thought could do good things last year, but then they just decided to tank as hard as they could. At this point in time, you're not going to get a 24-point scorer in anywhere else in the 12th round, giving you at least 3 rebounds and 4 assists and maybe a steal a game. This is good picking, I'm going to say, Cam Thomas in the 12th round, mate.
Yeah, it is, yeah. The injuries concern me a little bit. He had 2 pretty significant hamstring injuries, and they're always sort of something just to monitor. But, yeah, if he can come back and give you 60 games, averaging 22, 24 points a game, then in the 12th round, you have to do that.
You absolutely have to. Kevin Porter Jr., who we think could start if it's not Cole Anthony, who wasn't drafted. And I was toying up with Cole Anthony in Milwaukee. We have to see who gets the starting job there. But this is where you can get one of these guys late, which is a really key thing I think we should focus in on fantasy. Milwaukee Bucks starting point guard should be a 100-ish player, especially when they have to pass the ball to guard to finish. This is like assists and gravy off the train, getting KPJ here in the 12th round or Cole Anthony, I just think is good picking. Andrew Wiggins, again, a really good pick here. TJ McConnell, Russell Westbrook, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That wraps up the draft. Kingy, tell me, for all love and money, what was your number one takeaway from doing this as your first big hosting draft of the season? What was your biggest takeaway for you? What was the biggest surprise?
Other than Cade going at 2, which I touched on earlier. Sorry, I'm just bringing up the draft board again for me to look at. Was it my 2018 All-Star team being absolutely managing to be achieved? Yeah, look, you certainly lent into the more proven superstars.
I did. I went proven deep, man.
You did. Yuri, I thought went interesting. She went with 5 guards. So I'm going to get Yuri on the show to talk about her team. Yeah, look, I'm always monitoring where Cooper Flagg is going. As I said, I think he's going to push up and up and up. I do think that there is quite a lot of value in the sort of the 90 to 100 range this year, where I think in seasons past, that's been an area where it's a bit monotonous and you're sort of just drafting guys who don't have a lot of upside and the value comes later. But I think that there is value now in the sort of 8th, 9th round. And then, as I said, I thought there were a few players. I mean, Brandon Ingram wasn't even drafted in this. I think that was more of an oversight because he was so far down the rank because, I mean, he has to be drafted. And, yeah, I said earlier on there was another center that I liked from Summer League who I thought was...
Yeah, you did.
Arguably, and he wasn't drafted. And I don't know if he will be drafted, but that's Kalkbrenner from Charlotte. And I thought... I
like Kalkbrenner. He's a late-round flyer for me.
He started. I think he will start. Well, he should start if Charlotte do the right thing. And, yeah, I just think he was still figuring things out. I think defensively he'll do enough. He's big enough that he will get you 1.2, 1.3 blocks a game. But if LaMelo can stay healthy, if Brandon Miller can stay healthy, they've got Colin Sexton there, they've got Con Knipple there, they've got Miles Bridges there. So they've got scorers, they've got guys that can facilitate, and I think Kalkbrenner could just sort of fumble his way into top 100. I'm not saying he's going to be a breakout player or anything like that, but I just think there's something there for him.
No, I like him late. I like him late.
Floor.
He can, and I think you're onto something there. I think he's someone who I'm watching late as a center. But there's so many guys who went undrafted, like Kalkbrenner. Like there's some of the rookies that people like Ace Bailey in Utah going nuts. Isaiah Collier, like last year's rookie, not being drafted. And then we look down some of these familiar names. Keon Johnson, he was worthy in Brooklyn last year. We don't know. Klay Thompson going undrafted almost seems egregious at this point in time. DeAndre Hunter, we know he's probably going to likely start in Cleveland. He's not there. And we know that minutes mean something. In Golden State, guys like Buddy Hield who came on, Yves Missi, what happens in New Orleans with him? Tyus Jones, Ricochet, we expect more from him in his second season. Obi Toppin, does he take a seat? In Detroit, Karis LeVert being absorbed. So there's a whole bunch. Even Wendell Carter, the starting center in Orlando, not being drafted. And this is one here. This was huge. Drew Holiday not being drafted. It might be early season, but people's targets, like you said, are starting to shift between getting in younger players and the old guard kind of dying on the vine a little bit, Kingy.
Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit of uncertainty around Drew Holiday. I think with Lillard there, Holiday probably does play. I think there were some question marks about whether he sticks in Portland. And I think given the fact that he recruited Lillard hard to come to Portland, he wants to play with Lillard, and that's not going to happen this year. So he will hang around. So, yeah, there's guys floating around there. Walter Clayton in Utah, I think for me, he looked really good and wouldn't surprise me if he at some point starts this season for them over Keontae George as their point guard. Luka Garza, I think, in Boston is worth a look if he gets the starting job, which I think he will. He was at Summer League watching them play. And then, as you said, Obi Toppin in Indiana. Who starts for them with no Miles?
I think Isaiah Jackson. For me, I got my eyes on Ijax.
I think it's him. For me, he's a little bit undersized. So,
yeah.
But the Pacers potentially aren't looking to win. They're just looking to develop this year. So it could be him, or it could be old mate. What's his name from Memphis? Jay Huff, who they signed.
Who is over in Europe right now playing basketball, and his highlight reel of just hanging out in Europe playing basketball is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think he is more of a traditional center for them who can stretch the floor a little bit. So I think both he and Isaiah Jackson will be worth a look once we get some clarification on that rotation.
And if you want clarification coming closer to your leagues, make sure you lock it in, like and subscribe to All Things Believe in Fantasy. Kingy, thank you so much, my brother. Where can we catch you? Tell us all the things.
Just on socials, at Adam King 91. Now that I'm back at home, I'll have maybe like 3 shows a week for the next little bit. And then as we start to ramp up to the season, I'll have articles coming out on RotoWire and 4 to 5 shows a week, maybe. We'll certainly be diving into it quite early this season and just trying to build the following for Old Man Squad and trying to get people over there and listening to all of the contributors. It's a growing community, let's say that, the Old Man Squad.
Yeah, I'm there now too. I'm here. I'm here in Believe in Fantasy. I'm on Old Man Squad. I'm hanging out with Kingy in this one, and you can get more of this stuff again right here. Like and subscribe to All Things. This is 12 analysts walking to a mock draft way too early. Fantasy sicko mock draft from 5. I'll catch you soon, everyone. Take care. Be well.